A losing team can still be worth more than the winners combined. You think an F1 team wins by spending most. Here's the twist. Most teams lose money on track, yet each is now worth over $1 billion. In 2016, Liberty Media bought the sport for $8 billion and values exploded. Forbes now pegs Ferrari's team near $4 billion, Mercedes close behind. The crime scene, a business bleeding cash that the richest people on Earth fight over. Because you don't buy a race team, you buy a share of a money printing machine. Picture a trophy cast from molten metal, starting as raw ore poured into a mold. The teams losing most fight hardest to get in, and that's the mystery. Newcomers like Andretti offered billions for a seat and were turned away. So follow the money from raw ore to golden trophy. 3 ways to profit: prize money, sponsorship, and rising franchise value. But before any coin flows, the furnace demands feeding, and it's ravenous. Engines, wind tunnels, 1,000 staff, global freight, all cost fortunes before a single point. That raw ore is the bill you pay before lights out. Let's tally it. The furnace is ravenous. Watch one race weekend's invoice pile up. First, freight. Moving one team's gear to a flyaway race costs around $8 million. 24 races a year means shipping this circus across 5 continents, again and again. The calendar stretches to Melbourne, Miami, and Baku, each leg draining the freight budget. But freight is cheap. The real fire is the people you feed year-round. Over 1,000 engineers, mechanics, and strategists earn salaries whether the car scores or not. You'd think a spending cap fixes this. In 2021, the sport imposed one near $135 million. But the cap has holes. Driver pay, marketing, and top salaries sit outside it. 3 furnaces never rest: the engine program, the wind tunnel, and the factory. A wind tunnel can cost tens of millions and swallows electricity like a small town. Power unit development runs far higher, with engine budgets nearing their own separate cap. Add it up, and the raw ore poured in each season can top $400 million. That's the bill before lights out, and no team could cover it from racing alone. So where does the molten money come from? 3 rivers begin to feed the mold. 3 rivers must feed that mold, and the first flows straight off the car. River 1 is sponsorship, brands paying to paint logos across your bodywork and crew. A single title deal can now be worth over $30 million a year. But sponsors chase winners, so a slow car earns less when it needs more. River 2 is prize money, your slice of the sport's giant commercial pot. That pot splits roughly $1 billion among the 10 teams each season. But it pays by finishing position, so top teams drink first and deepest. Ferrari even collects a historic bonus, tens of millions extra just for being Ferrari. River 3 is owner backing, the deep pockets of a manufacturer or billionaire. These rivers pour hardest from hubs like Brackley, Maranello, and Woking. But here's the crack. Even all 3 rarely fill the mold completely. For years, the gap between income and that $400 million bill kept compounding. So owners kept topping up the furnace, pouring cash the rivers couldn't match. But in 2021, someone finally capped the spending, and that changes everything. Owners kept pouring cash the rivers couldn't match. In 2021, the crew got a rule book. The cost cap slammed shut like a vault door, freezing spending near $135 million. Before it, the biggest teams outspent everyone, throwing $400 million or more at the problem. Now the job had a strict budget, every crew working with the same wallet. The surprising consequence: for the first time, an F1 team could actually profit. McLaren, long a spender, swung toward profitability once the ceiling checked their costs. You might object that racing still loses money on track, and often it does. But the bleeding stopped compounding, the wound cauterized by the cap. The metal that kept cracking under runaway spending began to cool into shape. Suddenly, the sport looked like a real business, not a bottomless money pit. Liberty even boasted the cap made every franchise sustainable, a headline nobody expected. So the crew pulled off the impossible, a big score while spending less. But if teams now make money, why did no newcomer simply buy a grid spot? Because the door demands over $200 million just to knock, and the casting hardens into gold. The door demands over $200 million just to knock. Now watch the wall grow taller. The grid is a closed club of exactly 10 franchises, and no 11th seat exists. That scarcity is the trick, 10 spots and no more, appreciating like beachfront land. The anti-dilution clause is the secret. Any newcomer pays $200 million to protect existing owners. You'd think $200 million buys entry, but the 10 insiders vote and guard the gold. 3 ways an outsider breaches these walls: buy a team, force entry, or wait. Buying is cleanest, so entire teams change hands for figures once reserved for industries. The surprising consequence: the $200 million fee is now considered far too cheap. Andretti battered the gate with billions and GM muscle, yet the club barred the door. Insiders argued a new team would only slice their billion-dollar prize pot thinner. So the walls held, and the fortress became some of the priciest real estate in sport. The metal that once cracked is now cooling into a hardened, scarce, gilded shape. Scarcity alone might explain values leaping from hundreds of millions toward billions. But scarcity was only the fuse. Next, a Netflix show poured rocket fuel on the grid. Scarcity was the fuse. In 2019, Netflix lit it with Drive to Survive. Overnight, a niche European sport became a global boomtown, and everyone rushed to claim it. U.S. viewership roughly tripled, climbing past a record 1.3 million average by 2022. You'd think a Netflix show can't move real money. But the numbers exploded. Global attendance smashed 6 million fans a year, with grandstands sold out for the first time. The gold rush needed claims, so America built 3: Austin, Miami, and Las Vegas. The Las Vegas Grand Prix alone reportedly cost over $500 million to debut. But the richest ore was sponsorship, as every brand wanted to pan this new stream. 3 sponsors chased the boom: tech giants, crypto firms, and luxury fashion houses. Title deals that once fetched $30 million now command over $100 million a year. So the trophy's metal caught fresh fire, glowing hotter and filling the mold at last. Values leapt from hundreds of millions past $1 billion, some now valued near $4 billion. Forbes now calls F1 one of the fastest appreciating assets in all of sports. But every boomtown has ghost towns. Next, the teams the rush left for scrap. The gold rush left ghost towns. Now step into the morgue and count the bodies. Because that machine only prints if you survive long enough to reach the payout. Before Liberty's boom, the furnace was a killing floor, and dozens never made it out. HRT, Caterham, and Marussia entered in 2010 and were dead within 5 years. Caterham alone burned through more than $200 million before collapsing into administration. Fans literally crowdfunded Caterham's final race, just to make the grid. You might object these were tiny backmarkers, but even giants shattered in this mold. Brabham won championships, then vanished. Lotus, legend of 79 wins, was sold for scrap. 3 ways a team died: running out of cash, losing its backer, or fleeing the crash. Manor, the last of the trio, died in 2017, just as the boom began. The cruel consequence: those teams sold for almost nothing, seats now worth billions. Survived the freezing, cracking, and pressure, and the mold finally holds its golden shape. So survivors didn't just win races. They outlived the ghosts to reach the payout. But why buy this deadly machine? Next, why it's the smartest purchase in sport. Return to the crime scene, a business bleeding cash the richest people alive fight over. The answer is, you were never buying a race team at all. You bought a scarce, appreciating media franchise wearing a racing suit as a disguise. Only 10 franchises exist, and no 11th seat will ever be minted. That scarcity is the metal, 10 molds and nothing more, appreciating like unbuildable beachfront. Add a global media boom, and each seat became an antenna beaming to hundreds of millions. Then the cost cap did the impossible, freezing the bleeding and letting profit pool. Scarcity, media, and rules turned a losing sport into a winning asset class. That's why teams losing most on track fight hardest to stay inside the fortress. Because inside, you're not funding a hobby, you hold a share of a money printing machine. Forbes ranks these franchises among the fastest appreciating assets in all of sport. The raw ore has cooled, survived the cracks, and emerged polished and golden. So when a business looks like it's bleeding, ask what scarcity or story it quietly controls. Because the real prize is rarely the race. It's the golden thing others can't buy.